All right, today's lesson should be short. We're only going to get started on it. I'm not going to get like heavy into the theorems yet. We're going to just do a little introduction. All right, it's not going to be that detailed or involved. So let's see what we have here. This is basically we're going to talk about some other words too, but here's a word that I don't think we've talked about before. One of them we have. We've obviously talked about circles. You just had a test, didn't you? And you had to do something with circles. What did you have to do with the circles on the test? What did you have to do with the circles on the test? Find the area, right. So you had to find the area of the circle. It's not what we're doing today, but you have dealt with circles before. There's a couple things that you know already about circles. We're going to talk about this word as well, plus another word that you've probably seen before, but this is probably the one word that you really we haven't talked about concerning circles, okay? Maybe if you play the guitar, something like that, play the piano, then you probably have dealt with chords. Well, these chords are not anything to do with the musical chords, all right? So let's do this. Since we're talking about circles, let's draw a circle. And here's a nice, pretty circle right there. So we're going to label some stuff on there, and that's basically all we're really going to do today is just label some stuff. All right, see that little dot, that little blue dot right there in the middle? What do we call that thing? See that little dot right there? That's a point. What do we call it? A midpoint? Say it. It's not centroid. What is it? Well, it's just the center. Okay, it's just the center. You could say center point. It wouldn't be wrong. But we just call it the center. All right, so let's write that down. So the center is a point, and it's the same distance. The definition of the center is basically this, maybe not word for word, but it's the distance, or it's equidistant to any point on the circle. So watch this. If I took a line segment and I took it to here, okay, and then I took another line segment and I took it to here, I took another line segment from that same point, okay, from that center point, and I took it to here. And I could keep doing that all day long, couldn't I? All right, that'd be kind of boring, but I could, I guess, if I wanted to. I could keep going and going and going and going. All right, there's an unlimited number of those, okay, an infinite number of those things, but this has a name, and I think we've talked about that. It was in the equation of the area of a circle. What do I call that distance from the center to any point on that circle right there? What do I call that length? Apothem? It's the radius of the circle, right? So this, let's do it in a different color. This right here is the radius of the circle. What about the distance from the center down to here? What do I call that? It's also the radius, okay? Tell me something about the radius, all three of these. What's the plural, by the way, of radius? Radii, right. We've talked about that before, haven't we? Have we? I think we have. Okay, so the plural of radius, that's one radius. There's three what? There's three radii, okay? So what's true about these three radii? What's true about the lengths of them? They're all the same, exactly right, okay? So I could take a point right here, if it's the center, okay, if it's the center, and I draw it to anywhere on that circle. When I say on the circle, I'm not talking about in here. That's not on the circle. A lot of times we think of on the circle, like a frisbee, right? And I could put a point on the frisbee, right? But that's not the circle. What's the circle? It's this white line that goes all the way around, okay? This is not on the circle. What would this point be? Where would that point be? It's not on the circle. It's in the circle. Good. All right, so we could say this is in the circle, or it's in the interior, okay? Everybody with me on that? What if you had a point out here? What would that be? It'd be outside the circle, correct? Or out, that's fine, but outside is probably better. All right, so this is in the circle. This is outside the circle. What about this point right here? That red dot right there. What is that? That is on the circle, okay? Everybody see that? That's on, that's in, that's outside the circle. It's important that we know what we're talking about here, okay? All right, well, that's good. Let's see, what else I want to do? Let's do one more. What if I took, let's do it in a different color. We'll use the same circle. What if I took a line segment and I went from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle, but that thing goes through the center. Do you see that? See what I did? I went from one point on the circle to another point on the circle, but I was real specific about it. It went through the center of the circle. So if it goes through the center of the circle, we have a name for that. And again, that's something that we talked about when we did area. So that should be familiar to you already. What is that? Say it again, I can't hear. It's the diameter of the circle. That's right, it's the diameter. Again, we learned when we did the area of the circle and circumference of the circle and that kind of thing. We learned something. We learned a relationship between the diameter and the radius. Because check this out. From here, from the center to there, what would that be? That little thing I just drew. This would be the what? This would be the radius, wouldn't it? I'll just shorten it since I ran out of room. That's the radius of the circle. Tell me something about the diameter compared to the radius. It's what? It's twice as big. That's right, 2 times. So the diameter is twice the radius. That's something that we've learned already. That's not even new, is it? All right, so, but I'm just refreshing our memory a little bit because a lot of this stuff is going to be important. All right, so we got a diameter, we got a radius. We know if a point's in the circle, outside the circle, or on the circle. We know what the center is, right? It's the same distance to the circle, from the center to the circle itself. One more thing that you probably haven't learned. What was the title of our lesson? Do you remember that? It was circles and chords, okay? So what in the world is a chord? We've actually drawn a chord already. I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'm going to go back to it in a second. Won't take too long. But watch what a chord is. Remember I said on this diameter, I went from one point on a circle to another point on the circle? Okay, but specifically the diameter has to go through where? The center of the circle. But watch this. If I draw a line segment from one point on a circle to another point on a circle and it doesn't go through the center of the circle, what do you think I just drew right there? A chord. That's right. So this blue one right here is a chord. So I could draw all kinds of chords, couldn't I? As long as even the diameter is considered a chord. That's what I said I was going to get back to in a second. All right, see that blue one right there? That's a chord. Why? Because it ends, the end point of the line segment is right on the circle. What if I did this? What if I drew, let's go from here. What if I drew from here to there? That blue one right there. Let's change the color of it. We'll go pink. All right, what about that pink one right there? Is that a chord? Why not? It's got to hit the other side of the circle. That's right. Okay, so if I hit the other side of the circle, it doesn't matter where I hit. All right, I could go through the center as well, couldn't I? Watch this. Let's do that just for fun. All right, and right there. What's that purple one? It's actually 2 things. So is the yellow one. It's 2 things. First of all, it's the diameter because it goes what? Through the center, okay? But it also hits 2 points on the circle. So it's also considered a what? A chord, that's right. So the yellow one and the pink one are both considered to be chords, but they're a little bit more specific, all right? So it's a chord that goes through the center, which means it's a diameter. We got it? Okay. Now, let's label some stuff. Let's go back to blue. Let's take this blue one right here. We've done a little bit of this. All right? We've talked radius, we've talked diameter, we've talked center. We haven't done a chord, though. I don't think we have. Have we? I might have mentioned it maybe in passing, but this is where we officially learn. Let's put a point here. That's a point, right? It's on the circle. Let's call it A, and we'll call this point B. So I could name the chord. Now, what is the chord? The chord is a line segment, isn't it? Okay. So what would I name that particular chord? Line segment AB. All right, so that would be the chord. Make sense? What about the diameter? I'll do that in yellow, keep it all color coordinated here. What about this yellow one, this diameter? Well, I got to put some letters in here, don't we? CD. What could I call that diameter, that yellow one? It's line segment CD. That's right. It's a line segment, so you put a little line segment over top of it. So that's line segment CD. Make sense? Yeah? Everybody with me? Okay. All right. This is getting to be a mess, isn't it? Well, let's use another color. Maybe that'll pop out a little bit. I don't know if the orange pop. Let's go green. Green will be different. Now check this out. What if I go like from here to here? And this is not a line segment. It actually goes all the way through. Everybody watching? You guys seem very disinterested. I don't know. Your heads are down. Are you just taking good notes? Is that what you're doing? All right, but it doesn't seem like you're looking up a whole lot. So let's take a look. This green one right here, there's a lot of stuff going on, but you can kind of pick out the green one, can't you? What is that? We'll call it XY. And we'll use the points that lie right on the circle itself, okay? I could put any points on here, but I'm going to use those particular points, the ones that lie right on the circle, all right? So I could call it what? Line XY, couldn't I? And what's a line look like? 2 arrows, okay? Everybody got that? But I could also look at just this part of it, couldn't I? What would that be? That would be a line segment, right? XY, which is also a what? A chord. That's right. Is line XY a chord? Is this a chord? No, it's not. We're actually going to learn this later in this chapter. I'll just give you a sneak preview. Is that all right? Bet you're so excited about it. We call this thing a secant. S-E-C-A-N-T. We'll talk about it later, all right, but we call that a secant. So the line itself, if it goes through the circle, it doesn't have to go through the center, doesn't matter. It could go through the center, doesn't have to, okay? Any line that touches the circle in 2 places is considered to be a secant. Since I'm doing a sneak preview, let's do another one. What color haven't I used yet? Maybe this dark purple? Orange, but orange kind of looks like red. I don't have too much red in there though, do I? Black? You think black will work well? Probably not. Okay. This is a crazy mess, but we got all the colors. Maybe we'll keep this straight. Let's do it down here. So watch this. Everybody watching? What if I drew... Well, let me ask you this. Can you draw a line that hits a circle in 2 places? Yeah, it's right there. XY. I showed it. I could do that all over the place, couldn't I? Could you draw a line, one straight line? All right. Now, when I say straight, every line is straight. So I don't really have to say straight line, but just to get you thinking. Could I draw a line that hits it in 3 different places? Could I? On the circle. Right. 3 different places on the circle. That wouldn't be on the circle. So no is the answer. Center's not on the circle. Okay, it's a good choice. I mean, good guess. But the center's not on the circle. It has to be on this rounded part. See that white rounded one right there? That's the circle. So I can't draw a line, one line that hits the circle in 3 different places. Because why? Because I'd have to go through it and then come back again, wouldn't I? Then it wouldn't be a line, would it? It'd be 2 different lines. So there's no way I could draw a line that hits 3 places. Could I draw a line that hits the circle in 1 place and 1 place only? A line, which, remember, a line has to keep going. So what about like from there to there? Would that hit the circle in 1 place? Well, it does hit it in 1 place, but if it's a line, it'll keep on going, won't it? And then it'll hit it in a 2nd place. Would you agree with that? So could you draw a line that only hits a circle in 1 place? Think. No? What about this? Watch. Yeah, there you go. So this line right here, that purple line, hits this in 1 place right there. Purple's not the greatest color, but it works okay. Make sense? So we can have a line that hits the circle in 1 place. It would look something like that. We have a special name for that. Again, this isn't this lesson, but I got a couple minutes. I might as well talk about it, right? And we'll talk about it at some other point. All right, some other point, okay? So this is a tangent. You ever hear that word? Has anybody heard the expression, like, I do this a lot myself. I'll be talking about something, then I'll think of something and get off topic. You ever hear anybody do that? You hear me do it a lot, okay? I'm famous for it, or infamous, however you want to think of it. I go off on another topic. A lot of people would say, oh, Mr. Hamrick, he went off on a tangent. You ever hear that expression? All right, why do they say that? Because look, you went off on a tangent. This is your, right here, that's your conversation, but what do? I go way off on a what? On a tangent, okay? It's not exactly, that's where they get the word or the expression, he's going off on a tangent. That's what it means, okay? So he's going this way. All right, I think that's enough. Let me see. Oh, one more word. Oh. I'll do it. Let's do that blue one. Again, this is a sneak preview again. This is not officially in this lesson, but I'll show it to you anyway since we're here. Check this out. Everybody look up here. Okay? I still don't have eyes up here. So look at that curvy part from A to B. Okay. See that right there? Is that a chord? See the fat one that I just drew? All right, because I got all that junk in here. All right, see that fat one I did right there? That is not a chord. Okay, that is. Very good. This is considered to be an arc. You know how we did a chord? So this is a chord, the line segment AB. Do you see that? So if you do an arc, again, this is sneak preview. It's a little bit of a curve, right? Instead of a straight line like this, we would say, instead of writing the word arc, we don't have to write arc. And like right here, I don't have to write chord. I just write line segment AB. Here's what you do. You put AB, because it goes from A to B, and you put a little crown on the top like this, okay? It's just a little half circle, all right? Doesn't look perfect right there, but it's good enough. What does this mean? This means the arc. So when I talk about arc AB, that is different, isn't it, than line segment AB. Line segment or chord AB goes straight. What does the arc do? It goes along the circle, doesn't it? You see that? So this curvy, this fat one right here, all right, would be arc AB. The skinny one, the straight line from A to B, is a chord or a line segment AB. All right, like I said, today was just an intro, just to get the words straight. Okay, we didn't do any math at all, did we? We didn't say anything's equal to anything else. We didn't do any of that. Didn't talk about any angles, nothing. All right, we just talked about a bunch of words. So tangent, arc, secant, that wasn't from this lesson. Everything else was from this lesson. But we are eventually, very, very soon, we're going to get to tangent and secant, and especially arc. Okay, we're going to get to those really soon. So you'll see those. And then when we talk about it, you'll say, oh yeah, that's right. I remember talking about that just the other day. We good? All right, so there's a lot going on. It's a lot of stuff. Probably could have drawn some more more circles, but that's good enough. Looks crazy, but it wasn't that hard. Okay, enough of that. No homework. All right, we'll continue this. Now, there are going to be some theorems. There's going to be some examples. There are going to be some numbers. There's going to be some angles, just like we always do. All right? I think, aren't you seeing kind of a pattern all year long? We're basically doing the same thing all year long, except you're just doing different figures, right? Right? You're going to find that some of these angles are equal to each other. You're going to find some of the line segments are equal to each other, okay? And so what do? You set them equal, and you know what they're going to do, right? They're going to put x's in there, right? 3x plus 1, 7x minus 2, whatever. And what are you going to do? Set them equal, solve for x, plug it back in. Haven't we been doing that all year long? Yep, and we're going to continue that. So if you've been good about following that trend, of how to set stuff equal or set things, add stuff up equal to something else. If you've been good with that stuff, this is going to be the same kind of thing, except it's just different figures, all right? That's all it is. That's the nice thing about high school geometry, is you're kind of repeating the same thing over and over again, but you're just doing it with different figures. Would you agree with me on that it has been kind of the same chapter after chapter, like the math that's been involved? Yeah, the math has pretty much been the same. The area was a little different, right? But all the other stuff was pretty much the same. All right, I'll shut up and quit. And no homework, but we'll finish this up tomorrow and we'll have homework tomorrow.